What's going on, Facebook family and friends, social media family and friends? Once again, it is Wellness Wednesday, the first day of November, and we're in the building. Yours truly, Joe Dupree from 100 BLK, the Black Station, and my good friend, Edward J. Brown from Positive Choices Counseling
What's up?
Service.
What's
Listen,
up?
what's
Good
happening? As
people.
we always say about this time, a healthy you
Is a
is a
better
better
you.
you,
That's right.
and
What's going
your
on, brother?
mental health matters. Now, we done been through the spooky month. Now
Mm-hmm.
we're getting into the holidays.
The thankful
And
month.
that's why, right, the thankful month and then the holiday, which is a part of the holiday season. But the holidays is not happy
For
for
everybody.
everyone.
That's right.
And family, it's okay not to be okay.
Mm-mm.
And so that's why we do this every Wednesday,
Yes,
where you
sir.
have a place that you can go to, somebody you can speak to, somebody you can listen to that can really get you on track of understanding that your mental health matters. And with that being said, with no further ado, my good friend Edward J. Brown, take it away, my friend.
Hey, man, we always come on this Wednesday, and I know we say it 1,000,001 times, but it's true. People ask me, so what's your topic for the podcast this week? What are you guys going to talk about this week? And I always tell people the topic chooses itself.
It does.
Sometimes we have an idea of what we want to talk about, and we come on here with a plan, and by the time we get to the show, something transpired, something that happened, and we end up talking about that. Well, today
Correct.
is kind of one of those things for me. My brother just threw something out at me, so I'm going to use the first half of the show to talk about this topic, and then the second half, we're going to talk about preparing for this stretch that we call the holiday season, which is from Thanksgiving all the way through New Year's, because we usually stop at Christmas. But New Year's brings those resolutions. It brings those, I'm going to be new year, new me, all of that kind of stuff. We go through this every year. But today, the beginning of this podcast, the first half of this hour, we got to talk about something. You know how we always say never, don't say always. Well, I'm getting ready to say something. We're going to talk about something that everyone, now, I said it, everyone has experienced. And if you have not experienced this, please call me because you need some help and you don't even know it. And that one thing that we all have experienced in life is failure.
Ooh.
We have experienced failure on some level in our lives. And this could be a podcast that we could do for 5 hours and still not touch upon all the things that people have failed at.
Come on.
So in 30 minutes, I'm going to try to touch upon some of the most significant ones, and then spend time talking about what we can do to deal with, cope with, handle, and accept failure in our lives. When one of the people who asked me what the topic of this podcast was going to be, and I told them it was going to be failure, they said, you know what I want you to make sure you get through? Make sure people know that failure does not define who you are. It does not define your life. I said, okay, I'll be sure to talk about that. So let's talk about what we consider failure, what failure is. I'm going to give a generic definition and then we'll make it a little more specific. Failure is falling short of a goal, a task, or any type of event that you may be a part of or thing. It could be a failure of an idea, but it's falling short of a given goal. That is what failure is defined as. Simple as that. Falling short of a specific goal. Now, I've had so many different failures and shortcomings in my life, but the one I'm going to use for this was one that early on in my life, I found it to be very, very meaningful, and it was a learning situation. I was involved in a scrimmage against a school called Grace King, and they were really not on our level. They were really just a very small private school that our coach got to come and scrimmage us. Well, we're dominating in this scrimmage, and everybody's having a good time. We're on the sideline laughing, and I don't know, you don't keep scoring scrimmages, but I know it had to be something like 40-0. And there was a play where I'm playing linebacker at this time, and I'm watching the running back come out of the backfield, and the quarterback threw him the ball. And I'm so excited because I'm getting ready to knock the snot out of this kid. I'm just giddy. And when I started running towards him, he planted his foot and he spun. And I remember saying, no, wait. And then the guy blew the whistle and said, scrimmage over. I literally thought I was going to have a breakdown. I said, I'm a better player than run that play again. I promise I'm going to make the tackle. The scrimmage was over. And not only had I failed, but I failed on that particular play in front of all of my teammates. For the rest of the summer, that bothered me. That one play, it bothered me. Now, keep in mind, no one else made a comment about the play. Not one person, not even the coach. So the first part, when we're talking this podcast today about failure and how to address it, accept it, develop the necessary skills, is that failure usually, the weight of failure is self-inflicted. The weight of the failure and the things we feel about our shortcomings, we put that on ourselves.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah. Now, we're talking about personal goals and things that we set for ourselves. So failure of goals and things that we set for ourselves, that's self-inflicted. I got to do better. I'm not a good person. I'm just terrible at this. You know, I really have to do better. I gotta get my life together. All those things that we say when we fall short of goals we set for ourselves. And the people that we love, even the ones that's very honest with us, have a tendency to look at us and say, you know, you're being a little hard on yourself. So the first thing in dealing with failure is give yourself a break.
Come on.
Cut yourself some slack.
Come on.
Stop beating yourself up because you're not perfect. You know, you ain't perfect. Now, don't get me wrong, because we've done a podcast a little over a year ago where I talked about mediocrity is not the way Black people need to go. I'm not talking about accepting mediocrity. I'm talking about accepting everything in life is not going to be perfect. We sit here and we look at body shaming. So now we have this wave of big, beautiful women being proud. Lizzo that started a revolution.
True that.
She started a revolution because previously, if you were not 120 pounds, you just were not desirable.
That's correct.
We all know better than that because we as people of color, we always had thighs, hips, butt. So think about that. Cutting yourself some slack if you fall short of goals that you set for yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself. You're not perfect.
Come on now.
Okay? Because that's what we get. We get to the point where we set these goals. And again, we talk about the second half of this podcast. We're going to talk about, the holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas, but New Year's is that one. New year, new me. All these new goals. And then by February, you ask somebody, how you doing on your New Year's resolutions, your goals? What? Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot all about that. So if we look at setting goals for ourselves, and even if you fall short, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and say, I still have time to achieve this. We still have time to make this happen. Now, let's move on, because that's a big one. The self-inflicted trauma that we put on ourselves when we fall short of our goals. But now let's talk about it in the workplace, because we got to move a little quick. Let's talk about the workplace. When you start looking at goals and you look at tasks and we look at assignments and things that we're responsible for, that is given to us, we have to accept the fact that, okay, this is my responsibility. I'm going to do the very best that I can. I remember going to talk to my grandfather about that particular play, and he asked me, did you do the best you could? And I had to say no. I said I got to the point where I had accepted these guys weren't on our level, and this particular kid put a move on me and shook me out of my shoes.
Come on.
Yeah. And he said, so you didn't do your best? Nope, I didn't. When you're in the workplace, people will hire you because you say you have a certain skill set. So now certain assignments are given to you.
Come on now, speak on it.
Okay. We sell ourselves as an individual that can complete certain tasks, certain assignments. If you find yourself given a task, an assignment that you don't think you can do, and you do not say anything, you have set yourself up for failure. I'd rather somebody say, wait, hold on a minute. Wait. I can't do this. Can I get help?
Right.
Than to say, okay, I'll do it. And no, there's no way on snot that you can do that.
Right. Stop trying to be Superman.
Yeah.
Because you're about to get exposed to some kryptonite.
That's right. So we have a tendency to do that because we sold ourselves to get these positions. Now people expect certain things from us and we fall short. So now we feel bad. Be upfront and be honest with self. Like the first part we talked about. Setting goals for yourself and falling short. Give yourself a break. In the workplace is where we're talking about now. Be honest and upfront. I cannot do that to the level that I think you're going to want it done. Now, I'm getting ready to really step on some toes, and I'm sure we're going to talk about this towards the very, very end. But we got a certain coach that's falling way short of what he obviously sold people that he could do. I want everyone to understand on the job, within other relationships, do not allow tasks, responsibilities to be placed on you that you cannot fulfill.
Speak on that. Speak on it.
That right there is as profound as we can be, because folks will come to you and say, hey, I need you to eat that elephant. And under no circumstances can you complete that task.
Come on.
So what we have a tendency to do is say, yes, I can do it, knowing you can't. So now we have to go and deal with the failure, the shortcoming, not being able to have achieved a standard that we set for ourselves or that people hold us to.
And now you done put the person who gave you the task in a place where they have no more trust or confidence in the things that they can assign to you to get done.
Absolutely. So think about it. So we've looked at the pressure we put on ourselves when we fall short of our expectations, the things that we believe we can do. Give yourself a break. Now we're talking about in the workplace, individuals having, expectations of us, and we allow them to place that on us. Well, I thought you could. Why? I had someone laughing one time because I ain't a dude that like cold.
Come on.
So, they have a tendency to believe all big men, are warm and fluffy, and I hate the cold. You know what I mean? So I just hate the cold. I don't like being cold. I'd rather be hot than be cold.
Come on.
So I think you cannot allow people to place expectations on, unrealistic expectations on you.
Come on, speak on it.
You know what I mean? Have those folks that'll come and say, hey, I need you to do this and I need you to do that. And all the while, because guess what? I got some knives at the house, but you would not want me to take your appendix out.
Come on.
I do not have the skills to do that.
Come on. Too many times we overpromise and underdeliver.
Underdeliver. That's right. And that's because we have a tendency to not want to disappoint folks because we get comfortable with disappointing ourselves. We get comfortable with saying, I'm going to do my best, knowing that the task is not something that you can do alone.
Come on, speak on it.
Okay. So now, as we move through the pressure we put on, because the whole podcast, we're talking about failure. And being able to cope and deal with shortcomings.
Come on.
So we've done the task of the pressure and the expectations that we fall short, that we put on ourselves. Now we talk about the expectations that we allow employment to put on us. Now, here's the third one that I think is going to take this last 10 minutes. What about societal expectations? There are certain things that people expect of us in society.
Friends, families, and others.
And one of the things that is one of the driving factors, now as I said one of the driving factors behind this is things like race.
Come on.
All right. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Be careful of your prejudices and your biases. Let me show you what I'm talking about, Brother Dupree. We at the playground.
Come on.
And we have 5-on-5. And all of a sudden, we got to pick teams. First thing you're going to say, man, hey, get that dude right there. He black. What you mean he black? Well, to get him right there, he black. Well, why we don't get the white dude or the Mexican? Nah, we playing basketball. Get the black dude. And all of a sudden, you pick the black dude and realize he can't put a ball in the hoop if you pick him up.
That part.
You know what I'm saying? Or we have these stereotypes of these prejudices and these biases. We have to put together a math quiz bowl. And all of a sudden, you see the Asian guy. Hey, get him.
Right.
Because I know he good at math. And all the while, he was born in the Ninth Ward of New Orleans.
Can't add 2 + 2.
Can't put 2 + 2 together. We have to look at how prejudices and biases impact our decision-making when we're talking about societal expectations.
Correct. We do.
Everybody believe there's these stereotypes that we buy into because of social prejudices and biases. For example, black people, all of us can dance.
Come on, speak on that.
You know what I mean? And I've seen some black folk that you don't want to be standing nowhere near them when they dance because they're gonna put you and them in the hospital. You know, we have the prejudices and biases that all black people like chicken and watermelon.
Come on.
I think that when we're talking about allowing expectations from society to be placed upon us, we have to be very careful that we don't accept those prejudices and biases.
Come on, that's real talk.
Yeah, because we are quick to be in public and say, don't make me go off. Well, why would you do that, brother? Brother, why would you do that? This is not the proper time. No, play. Because I don't play. I ain't the one. You're not the one to what? How about we just talk about this like two human beings?
Come on.
We are too willing to buy into these stereotypes. Now, we're talking about failure, so let me show you about failure in regards to prejudices and biases. It is not possible for us to succeed as a people in this country. Where does that come from? We constantly putting out Barack Obamas and Michelle Obamas and the Beyoncés and the Cornel West and the what's the other one is I see this brother now teaches at Princeton, Michael Eric Dyson.
Right.
You know, we're putting out some great minds. So if we believe that failure is a part of our DNA because biases and stereotypes show that, then we are accepting something that is not ours. That's being planted in our heads.
Come on, that's real talk.
Yeah, you know. So we cannot allow the concept of failure to be planted in our head. We allow ourselves to go into these situations, certain situations, already defeated.
Correct.
And here's one that I think, because I only got a few more minutes before we move into another topic. And this, Brother Dupree, is where you will jump in because you possess one of these as well. I tell my students right now, if you want to see me get angry at you, let me see you allow somebody to minimize the education that you're receiving at an HBCU.
Come on, that.
Okay? Now, you and I, we have a problem, Houston.
Houston, we have a serious problem.
If I ever find out you have allowed someone to minimize,
come on, speak on that,
marginalize,
come on,
the education you received from a historically black college or university, you and I are gonna have furniture moving.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because you are not receiving watered down.
Correct.
You are not receiving diluted.
No, you're not.
Substandard.
No,
subpar,
sir. No, sir.
You know, half-ass, as the black folks say.
Come on.
Education.
You're not. You're not. Now, you may have people that are a little bit more concerned about you because as a person who has something hanging on the wall from a PWI, let me tell you something.
Me too. I got one of them back there.
Hey, you're going to have individuals at HBCUs who really are genuinely concerned about your well-being in knowing what you know, because knowing what you know puts even the HBCU itself in a position where they say, well, where'd you learn that from? From whatever the HBCU is.
Yeah, correct. And I won't hesitate to say, when I left Southern ended up at Tulane.
Come on.
And I'm going to say this on camera. My first year of graduate school at Tulane, the Harvard of the South.
Come on. That's what
came very easy to me because I had learned most of that undergrad at Southern University. Okay. So they were like, well, where did you go again? Southern Cal? No, Southern right there in Scotlandville.
Right.
You know,
over the hump. Over
Southern
the hump.
Miss, no, I didn't go right over the hump. I had learned a lot of what they were teaching me the first year of graduate school in undergrad.
Come on.
At the Harvard of the South.
Come on.
So I never had an opportunity to let anybody marginalize me as an individual and make me believe I was going to fail. That ideology was not planted in my head.
No, sir.
In my head, I came into the PWI program saying, I know I'm the top student in this program. Now, you would say, well, why did you think that? You didn't even, that was instilled in me. I never bought into the concept of failure.
Come on.
Which is what we're talking about today. I never bought into the concept of failure. So when we start talking about...
Hold on. We got to say this.
Okay.
And I think the reason that concept was the way it was, my good friend and brother, is because we understand this, especially in our society, in cultures of color. We understand the following. And each one of us is a king or a queen and a fool.
That's right.
The one you feed is the one that will come forth.
That's the one that's going to grow.
That's the one that's going to come forth. That's the one that's going to grow. That's the one that's going to prosper. And many of us, thank God, we have been in situations in schools, especially in HBCUs, where folks say, man, you got to put that foolish stuff to the side and feed that king and queen, because if you do, you will do great things, not only for yourself, but for others.
Now, because, and then too often, as I was telling the young brother that I was counseling right before the podcast comes on, he's a young guy and he's 14 and he's going to be a superstar. He's going to be a superstar. He just made 14. He's 6'2", 210 pounds at 14 years old. And I told him something. We started talking about failure. And I said, as a football player, you have to have the shortest memory in history. Because if that scrimmage had gone farther, I would have had to strap back up and get back in the game. But we have a tendency to say, man, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. And why do we spend so much time talking about our failures instead of our successes? Now, let me show you how relevant that really is. If you believe that I just made that up, turn on your local news. For every shooting there has been some black child that made a major achievement. But that's not as sensationalized as violence.
Come on.
As the negativity. Drama is king. Drama boosts ratings. Nobody wants to see all of the good black thing, all the good things that people are doing. Nobody wants to see that. So what we do, we glorify failure.
Come on.
We glorify shortcomings. We glorify mediocrity. I have some brothers, that I've known, that I've worked with, that I've gotten to call my brothers and family. These are some dynamic brothers. And the reason we were able to connect is because none of them believed that they were average. I have a brother right now down here, a young brother has a gym. And Gus, I'm giving him a commercial right now. The name of his gym is MDP.
Come on, show him love.
MDP is a great place to work out. He is a sensational trainer. And MDP stands for mediocrity doesn't pay. This young brother is a mover and a shaker. He's doing big things. And he understood early that we don't get to the top of the mountain being mediocre. We don't get to the top of the places we want to be by waddling in our failure. We get up and we move on and we start over. I couldn't hit a fastball. I couldn't do 2 push-ups when my dad asked me at 12 years old, how many push-ups can you do? I said, what? I couldn't do but 2. By the end of the month, I was doing 22. Because I do not waddle in failure. So I challenge everyone as we wrap up the first half of the podcast and talking about how do you handle failure? Cut yourself a break and understand you're only human.
Come on.
And that you can always try again to do better. Number 2, do not allow people on a job, in your family, in your relationships, to put unrealistic expectations on you that will set you up for failure. And number 3, these societal ideas that you are not adequate, you falling short, you're destined for failure because you're Black, because you're a woman, because you're a person of color, blah. At some point, I am the man.
Come on.
I ain't the man next to the man. I'm the man.
Yes, sir.
And if I fall and if I fail, that just means I got to try again. That's all failure means to me. I got to try again. And I have to try until I keep getting it. Those are 3 things that I wanted to spend this first half of the podcast talking about, being able to cope with failure. Give yourself a break. Don't let people put expectations on you, and don't buy into societal, ideas of what success is. All right, brother. Well, you brought it up, not me. We are in the first day of November.
Yes, we are.
And we are going into Turkey Day.
The Thanksgiving season.
We're into the holiday season. So as we went through the first half of the podcast, now we're in the second half, and we are in the first day of November, which starts the holiday season.
Correct.
And it's amazing because it's getting farther and farther back, because before Halloween stuff was out, they were putting Christmas stuff out.
Correct. They were. The
Walmart is full of Christmas stuff already.
Yes, sir.
So before you know it, we're going to be into that day in November, then that day in December. And the day that makes me laugh is the first day of the year.
That's it.
What they say? New year, new me.
So
that's right.
So, this is really funny, Edward, as we look at this. Literally, we're 60 days away from a new year.
Wow.
60, 61, give or take.
Yeah.
I always have to remember the precise numbers. But,
right.
Thanksgiving is almost here. Bayou Classic, 50th anniversary of the Bayou Classic. Turkey Day, Thanksgiving. A lot for folks to be thankful for. Then you move into the Christmas holiday, the giving and the birth of Jesus, and those who are celebrating the happy things. But let's just be real about this. And this is where your mental health matters. I wake up every morning and the first thing I see on the news is the atrocities that are happening in the Middle East. I say to myself, when I see the loss of innocent human life in the Middle East, we need to really be praying for peace. Speaking of which, we will be, just to throw out a shameless plug, on the 7th of this month at City Hall here in Lafayette. We will be doing just that. We will have a day of prayer for peace. Okay. Because regardless of how you see this conflict, and in no shape, form, or fashion do I condone any terrorist acts, but at the same time, you have innocent lives on both sides that are being lost due to war. You have to pray for peace. You have to pray for that even in times of conflict, that people are civil enough to not hurt and harm the elderly, the children, the women, and the innocent.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, that's why even in these holiday seasons, holidays ain't happy for everybody. There are
Correct.
folks who are really dealing with some real issues. And every corner you turn around, there's a mass shooting going on. Look like mass shootings are just on the uptick. I think there's been over
I think
500 and some
we
odd mass shootings this year alone.
yeah, unbelievable, unbelievable. But you said it. The holiday is not happy for everybody.
Correct.
We have folks that don't like the holidays because it reminds them that it's another holiday without their loved one.
Right.
We have people that they don't like the holidays because they don't have all the lavish things that some people have.
Right.
I remember one of my friends told me, he said, man, we couldn't afford a turkey. So my dad used to buy a whole chicken. Because most of the time we get our chicken in pieces, thighs, legs.
Right.
He said, I was almost 12 to 15 years old before I realized what a whole turkey looked like. He said, because I always thought the chicken was a turkey.
Wow.
He said, because we never had a real turkey.
I mean, look at the anniversary. Today is the anniversary. The first day of November is the anniversary for my millennials and for my Gen Z folks out there that love the Migos, walk it like you talk it, Bad and Bougie. Today is the anniversary of Takeoff's death. It was a year ago today that Takeoff.
It's been a year? Wow.
It's been a year ago today that Takeoff was murdered in Houston, Texas.
Wow.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like a year that this brother's been gone.
Time flies.
Yeah. So, so let's take a few minutes to talk about what do we do during these holiday seasons. One of the things that I want to challenge everybody to do, and we're going to talk about this a couple more times throughout this month, is if you have enough, find a family that does not, and share with them. Wow. How simple is that? Find a family that doesn't have a lot, but needs a lot, and share with them. I didn't say give them what you got, but at least share. Instead of you having a sweet potato pie, a pumpkin pie, and an apple pie, you give one of the pies away. You still got 2 pies. Instead of having 3 pans of macaroni that you ain't going to eat, because we always have stuff left over for Thanksgiving, you give somebody that wouldn't have anything. Now, and if you really don't want to give them a pan, I'm going to really challenge you to really do it small. And why don't you just pack up a couple of plates and ride to your local city and see the homeless dude and give him a plate? I remember being in New Orleans several years ago, and me and my young brother that owned MDP, we were down in New Orleans hanging out, and we were walking and we saw this Brothers Fried Chicken downtown New Orleans. And the lady came out of Brothers with eating right out the box. She was just as drunk, eating right out the box, had the chicken leg in her hand, eating the rice out the box, and immediately stopped, closed the box, and walked across the street where there was a homeless man sitting on the ground and gave that man her food. And her and her friends went on walking down the highway. I think we have a tendency, we got to find humanity in this world again, because we've lost it. We've lost humanity. We've lost caring for one another. Yes, things are going crazy in the world, but at some point, we have to start being kind to one another again. Start being friendly with one another again. Hey, brother, how you doing? Have a great day. Simple as that. Everybody's talking about Martin Luther King and Gandhi and Mother Teresa and all of these humanitarians in the world. But what about Leroy from down the street who gave out free haircuts around the first of the school year?
Come on.
If you had a kid, bring your kid. So as we go into this part of this year where we're in the holiday seasons, remember, everybody is not living the way you're living. And each one should be able to bring one person with them. And if you don't, just take them something. I'm going to bless families this year because I have more than my share of clothes, shoes, and I'm going to put together a bag that you can do a fashion show with. And I'm going to bless the family with it.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's my commitment this year, this holiday season. They ain't got to pay me for it. Some of the stuff in the bag still have tags on it. Some of the stuff never been worn. And it's something that I always heard my grandfather tell me. And I didn't understand it until I became a man. My grandfather said, if you give somebody something you don't want, you ain't do nothing. Do you have any idea how profound that is? If you are giving something you do not want, then you haven't done anything.
Come on now.
You know? I know when we say it, you don't really think about it. But when you really listen, not listen, but listen, that's very profound. It's easy to give away something you don't want. I challenge everyone this holiday season, start today. Make a commitment. We talked about the first half of the show. We talked about failure. The second half of the show, I want you to make a commitment. Make a commitment that you are going to do something to make a difference in somebody's life. Now, if that's something you fail at, the best part about that is you can try and try again. If I don't put together a bag to do a fashion show and I fall short of that, somebody still got a nice bag full of stuff. But my goal is to put together at least 10 to 15 outfits this year. I'm challenging everyone. We talked about failure the first half of this podcast. Let's not fail at being kind this holiday season. Let's not fail at that. We always, how you doing? I'm blessed. Then bless somebody. How you doing? I'm blessed and highly favored. Show favor to somebody else.
Come on. That part.
Yeah.
Spread the love.
Show favor to someone else. You know, call that person that doesn't have anybody. That man that you never spoke to in your neighborhood. Make a commitment this year not to fail at that again, and that you're going to ask him at least, how you doing, neighbor? You know, be kind to somebody, man. It got to start somewhere. You know, why I got to do it? Well, why not you? Well, I always do something good. Do some more. Do more. Brother Dupree, you and I in a position now, we had this platform for years now.
Yes, sir.
And we have taken this platform to places that we kind of knew it would go to, and some we didn't.
Correct.
But at the end of the day, we got to the point where a couple of weeks we was off the air because the old schedule, my schedule, I was feeling bad. You were busy. We just couldn't make it happen.
Right.
We fell short on those weeks.
Right.
But never did we say we were going to give up.
No, sir. No, sir.
Did we say we was going to quit?
No, sir.
We made a commitment to continue to give them what they need.
Right. Right. Because somebody, hold on. I got to get on screen with you.
Yeah.
Somebody somewhere doesn't have anybody to talk to about the issues they're dealing with in mental health. They don't have anybody who's even talking about the issues, because on these podcasts, they're talking about how you get rich quick, how you invest here, how you do this, how you set this up, how you do that. They don't tell you that every day there is the wear and tear of life. Life be lifing. Things be happening.
You know,
And who's going to talk about, listen, that's why I run the number the whole time during the whole podcast. If you need somebody to talk to, if you need somebody that you need some counseling, if you have a situation because let's talk about some real numbers here. Since everybody want to talk numbers and we're in an election season and we've got a runoff here in Lafayette. Nevertheless, I want to tell people, I can't tell you who to vote for, how to vote, but you need to go vote. But since people want to talk about numbers, let me give you some real numbers. Numbers at the bottom of the screen. Because in the communities of color, suicide and depression is at an all-time high.
All-time high.
So since everybody's wanting to talk about who's on whose side and who's with this and who got elected to this and why didn't we show up for this? How many of y'all are showing up for your brothers and sisters who are dying every day? Who are depressed and oppressed every day?
Okay. Now you're about to start a whole new podcast.
Oh, okay. I'm just saying. Let me.
No, we gotta say this because I watched the podcast the other day where the woman talked the whole hour about fellatio.
Come on.
And they had about 10,000 viewers.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know, then I saw another guy talking about how they used to go out and rob and kill and shoot people. They had 5,000 viewers.
Come on. The drama.
So when we sit here and we try to help you deal with the stresses of everyday life, we get a handful of views. Now, guess what? I'm all right there because that's all I need.
Right. We just trying to save one.
That's all we're trying to do.
We're trying to tell a friend, to share this with a friend.
Scratching my brain.
And being the friend that we see while we walking by in black suits and black dresses and they in a casket. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Or to come sit in my lobby and watch the people come in and leave so much better than they came in. That right there is worth it to me. So if I can't have that nationally syndicated podcast where 100,000 people watch, let me save one.
Yes, sir.
Let me reach one. Because, and I mean that from my soul, because at the end of the day, I've been watching this past couple of weeks, different podcasts. And you know what I said, brother? I'm not willing to do that.
No, sir. No,
I'm not willing to do that. I'm not willing to go there.
See, hold on. And let me say that.
All right.
We do have some folk who look like you and I.
Oh, I know.
That's all they about. Share, like, and click. That's their thing. And if they don't get a share, a like, or a click, they don't feel like they're successful. Well, we've been doing this for years. And some people share it, some people like it, and some people click on it. But guess what? We have it out there and we have it cataloged where if you want to go see it, if you have a mental health issue, or better yet, you need to call and talk to a licensed clinical counselor about mental health issues. The phone number runs right there because at the end of the day, we're trying to save the greater good of our community. And guess what? Sometimes we got to do that one person at a time. But see, we're sometimes so caught up in vanity that it's my way or the highway. You got to see it like I see it. You know, I had a person tell me today, and I'm not even going to say how the conversation went, but a person told me today, if we get 16%, we win.
Wow.
I'm like, when? Wow. You know, and I'm like, wow. And watch this. Truthfully, they're right. But when have we got to the point that if it's 100 of us, we just need 16 of us to show up?
Yeah.
Why ain't at least half of the 100 showing up?
Well,
and that saddens me. Though the person said it might be 16 this day, might be 33. And listen, I understand the numbers. I'm a numbers guy. But at the end of the day, if I've got 100 people who could help 100 people, I don't need to be sitting there wanting 16 people to help 100 people. Why can't the 100 help 100 and then we got 200 people help? Instead of 16 people bending over backwards to try to help all these other folk.
I'm about to break your heart even more because it's going to lead us into the last part of this show that we kind of have a little fun and we change the energy. we could fill up A.W. Mumford with more than 16 people. But we can't get that number of people to go to the polls.
Woo!
We can fill up a football stadium, but we cannot fill up a polling station.
Come on, hold it. One of our polling stations, the week after the election, had a party where everybody was in the party, had a good time at the party, had a Sadie Hawkins party. But I wonder how many of those folks that came to the party went to the polls.
You know, and again, it's something we got to think about. It's something we have to talk about, and it's something we really have to do something about, because we can no longer continue this path that we're on of not making a difference in our communities.
And here gonna be the crazy thing. If the wrong individuals get into office,
oh Jesus.
Now listen to me. And the people who went to the polling place to party wind up seeing that polling place completely closed, not only for the polls, but for any activity. They'll be the first one to scream and holler, look how they do us in the hood. Mm-hmm. No, look how you do yourself. You didn't go vote.
Right.
No, not how they do you. They doing what they always did. Mm-hmm. But the point is, do you see the ancestors that died, the ancestors that got beat, the ancestors that got shot, the ancestors that got trampled on, beat up, dog bitten, just where you could go vote, and you got the audacity to say, I ain't going to go vote. My vote don't count.
Yeah. Here's the thing.
Then with the same voice talk about, I'm down with my ancestors. Yeah. No, you're not.
You know, here's the funny thing about it.
You literally spitting on your ancestors' grave.
Even if your vote, let's just say hypothetically, let's say your vote don't count. What your ancestors went through for you to get it ought to make you do it just for that.
Come on.
Because what we know about Black folk and what we know about people in general is, if you want to see us rise up, tell us we can't do something.
Come on.
Why we don't have that mentality about voting? These folks are indirectly trying to say you can't vote. Voter suppression is real.
Yes, it is.
And they're trying to tell you indirectly you can't vote, and we all right with it. Right. But let them say we can't go to Chick-fil-A. We're going to line up outside Chick-fil-A as far as they can see.
You know, it ceases to amaze me. It ceases to amaze me. Some of us here, our mothers, fathers, grandmothers, grandfathers pick cotton. Mm-hmm. They pick cotton so you didn't have to pick cotton. Mm-hmm. So why would you let the sacrifice that they made put you in a position that you didn't have to do what they did, that you sit there and make it that they take? You know, I'm in a position right now because I work for government. I work for the city and the county, if it was in Mississippi, but we call it parish here in Louisiana. I work for the city parish government. And I tell people all the time, I'm there for the people. I'm in a position that is an appointed position, and some people try to make it political, but I tell them I'm not about politics or party or about political posturing. I am there strictly for the people. But if the people do not stand up for the people, it's hard for those in places of power to try to stand up for the people when the people themselves don't want to stand up for the people. And I tell people, we got to wake up. We got to wake up, because guess what? You can't be mad, once again, if the place, and there's a lot of P's I'm using right now, if the place they had the party winds up shutting down completely, people will rise up and say, look how they're doing us, and they don't like us because of the color of our skin. But the question is, if you can show up 500 deep for a party, but only show up 16 deep for an election at the polls,
in the same building,
Houston, we have a problem.
Well, brother, this podcast sure took a turn real quick, didn't it?
I'm just saying.
We gotta do better. And because we started talking about failure. We are not failing as a people. We just have to do better.
Right. Come on.
We are not failing as a people. We have to do better. Which leads me into our final segment, these last 3 minutes. The Jags got to do better.
Uh-oh.
We are coming down to the reservation. I have
And
I've been
everything's
in
on the line.
class.
Hold up.
Everything on the line. Yeah.
Listen,
Whoever wins this game,
I promise you, unless something really freaky happens like last year, whoever wins this game
will win the West.
Will go to Tallahassee, Florida for the SWAC championship against the Florida A&M Rattlers. Will it be Southern or Alcorn? Because at the end of the day, it's going to be either the Braves or the Jaguars, and it's going to be dependent on how this weekend shows up, who shows up in Lorman.
That's right.
And let me say this. I loved Southern University Jaguars. I have did the coaches show for some years. Family, if we don't go down to Lorman, Mississippi with our mind right and with a better game plan than what we have been executing, get ready for defeat. Get ready to take an L as a loss and an L that hopefully will be a lesson, because I'm telling you, it is whoever wins this game will more than likely represent the West in the SWAC championship.
And let me say this to you. Being up there every week, the Braves ready. Ooh. They ready. They ready. They've always said they love playing Southern, because Southern, to be honest with you, Alcorn has been one of our biggest rivalries for the past 10 years.
Come on.
And it's because we just seem to play each other down to the wire every time. We can go in there, have game ready. We're going to come out with an L and our season's going to be over.
Come on.
And my brother and I, we will be there.
Yes, we will.
I expect the Jaguars to come out prepared, much better than I've seen this. I don't know why I expect it. I just do. I expect them to be better prepared than I've seen them this year, because I can call 3 games that I believe we should have won.
Come on.
At least 3 games we should have won. We have entirely too much talent on the bluff to be underperforming the way we are. We have too much talent. Southern was not projected to be the SWAC champions this year, the pre-poll champion this year, for no reason at all. Those polls are put together based on the caliber of stars. We have more 4-star athletes, more 3-star athletes than anyone else in the SWAC. And we are underperforming. We have to do better.
We do.
And anything less than a victory for me will cause me to say we need to start looking at possibly making some changes. Now, people will say, what are those changes? You want a new coach. Hey, I could go anywhere from coaching to quarterback play to, play call. Dooley and his staff have to do better with play calling. We have to have better quarterback play. So I said it. I just believe we need to do better because we are underachieving as a team. I feel the same way about the Jags as I do about the Saints. We're underachieving as a team. Ooh. We have too much talent. Ooh. Too much talent. Our defense is the top 5 defense. We have one of the best running backs in the game. We have, one of the best wide receivers, and I'm not really talking about Michael Thomas. I'm talking about Chris Olave. So the Saints and the Jags are underachieving. We got to do better. And that's where I'm going to leave that. So, brother, it's about that time.
Yes, sir.
If nobody else told you today, we tell you we love you. See you next week.